Hello, Royalers. Welcome to another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. And we are in Black History Month. I am so excited. I've picked a few really great people that I think you're going to enjoy as we look at stories outside of things we've always heard during Black History Month. I'm Lady Trinette Wilson, and I'm a social historian and lecturer. And today I'm going to bring you a story about a little girl named Esther Jones. Now, she was known to the world as Little Esther, and she was around in the 1920s. But she was perhaps known for the most controversy surrounding her, believing that Betty Boop was indeed created based on Little Esther. Join me today for another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. I'd like to thank everyone for liking, sharing, and subscribing. We're on our way to 2,000 and you all are liking. Thank y'all so much for viewing the videos. It shows us that history really matters, especially the royal side of history, another side of us. So let's get into our story today. Now, little baby Esther didn't start as little baby Esther. Her name was Esther Lee Jones, and she was born in 1918 in Chicago, Illinois. Her parents are William and Gertrude Jones. And let me just say, she was destined for stardom as a child. She began her training as young as 4, it's reported, and she would learn how to sing, dance, and do acrobats. And by the time she was only 6 years old, she actually won her first dance contest in 1924. Now, she was known to dance, roll her eyes, and most famously, she would do this little scat. Boo boop do do do, what da do do do. I probably don't sound like she sounded, but it made her famous and it opened doors all over the country for her. In fact, her family moved to New York so she could kind of get really recognized on a greater level. And that's when she started to perform at the really big clubs. Now, she was managed by this guy named Lou Bolton. He was a big time manager and he also did booking agency work also for a woman at the time named Helen Kane. She's her story who she is going to come back around as we tell the story about baby Esther. But Lou was getting her booked. I mean, at the Cotton Club. I mean, she really fit into the Harlem Renaissance period, which was a period of just mass awakening within the arts world in Harlem. So, I mean, they had club upon club upon club called like places like the Cotton Club, the Savoy, where she performed. Now, these were adult clubs, but she was performing in them. They said she was a combination of funny and childish, and they really loved her. So she did travel a lot, and Lou got her a lot of jobs, which ended up with her going to Europe. And that's really when she blew up. Because in America, she was still facing a bit of racism. And they really accepted her more when she went over to Europe. Now, before she went to Europe, though, she was performing. She was doing the Evergay Club, of course, like I was saying, all of the Harlem Renaissance scene. But she also was able to get into one talkie. It never has surfaced, but they said William Morris uh, signed her to do that. And they also gave her songs. She had songs like The Turtle Walk, My Little Dixie Home, and I've Got the Blues for Dixieland. Now, one I didn't think was too appropriate was called I Need a Man Around the House. And this was a child singing. She was like 11, 12 years old at the time. So, So here she goes at 7. Now, Bolton took her to Europe in about 1928. She was between 7 and 10 years old. Again, there's a small question on the date of her birth. But the first place she performed was the Moulin Rouge. Now, if you've ever seen anything to do with the Moulin Rouge, again, it is a very adult setting. And they said that they called her the little Josephine Baker. And if anyone knows, Josephine Baker is best known for being a very sexy woman. So here she was in Europe, really blowing up, doing a wonderful job as a performer, even if you think that, she was in some older places, which I do, but she was getting notoriety for it. In fact, one of the local newspapers there said, it was called the London Sunday People. It said that thousands would flock to see her show, and she was only 10 years old. They called her a little mite. And so they really, really loved her. Now, she also went to Stockholm, Sweden, and she performed for the Royals. Her career was going really well. In fact, they were saying that she was one of the highest paid child actors at the time, making approximately $750 per week in the 1920s. And for an 11 and 12-year-old child, that's big money during that time. Unfortunately, during that time, it just really seemed like these little kids were performing in adult like places. But nevertheless, Bolton was getting her booked. But while she was in England, she and Bolton and the family fell out and they fired him. And then, so that's kind of where the drama uh, started with this whole Betty Boop thing, because guess what? Bolton was Helen Kane's booking agent. And so when we see what kind of unfolded with this story, we can kind of see Bolton was salty. And I think he's the one who gave Helen even the idea that Betty Boop came from her. Now, Max Fleischer, the owner of Fleischer Studios, commissioned Grim Natwick to draw Betty Boop and to create Betty Boop. But her persona and all of that was said to believe to have come from Little Esther. Now, Fleischer's guy, Natwick, admitted that he was at a place and he saw Little Esther perform and he liked some of her mannerisms. And he did incorporate it into Betty Boop, but they never gave her credit for it. Well, Helen Kane walked away empty because she took Fleischer Studios to court to say Betty Boop was indeed made after her. But after the research, they found out that she was not. And Paula Esther didn't have enough likenesses with Betty Boop in order to get paid from it as well. So she never got any money from it, but that was kind of the drama around if she was really made, if Betty Boop was really patterned after Little Esther. It's sad too, because that whole boop 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 de doop was Little Esther. So some people said that she was patterned after Shirley Temple, but Betty Boop was the closest likeness to Little Esther as far as her singing. Little Esther continued even after that shenanigans, even not getting paid or recognized for what she had done, and she continued her career. She performed before the NAACP in Philadelphia, and she also performed in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil at the American Embassy. But can you believe, y'all, by only 22, her career was over. She just kind of left the spotlight. Nobody heard anything else about her. By 1940, music was changing, and she just stepped out of the spotlight. And there's no other record of her. And the thing about it is, I think she got a little money and just kind of took it and left. I bet she had been through a lot in the music industry as a child. With all that's coming out, I have no doubt we don't hear about Esther again until she passes away at age 66 from kidney failure in 1984. And that's pretty much it. She didn't have any family. She never was married. I mean, there's nothing else about her. My sources were blackpast.com and Wikipedia. Not a lot of work has been done on Little Esther's life, but I wanted to take a moment just to commend her for being one of America's first African American child stars. And you know what? I don't even want to compare her to Betty Boop or Shirley Temple. She was Little Esther. Well, that brings us to the end of our show. I hope that you enjoyed it. I am so excited as we prepare for Black History Month, as we go out and do our exhibit and our lecture. I can't thank you enough for watching. I really, really thank you, Royalists. And I'll see you on another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. Be sure to comment down below. Thanks for watching.